Welcome to 10 Minute Takes. This is where we rate films first, then we talk about them. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
See it.
Like Bo Burnham would make anything other than a see it. 8th Grade. For those of you who don't know, 8th Grade is Bo Burnham, who's a stand-up comedian. It's his feature-length film debut as a writer and director. It is about a teenage girl who's in her last week of 8th grade, who is also a YouTube vlogger that gives tips about how to approach certain things in life, about like confidence, meeting people, putting yourself out there. But she's someone who doesn't know how to apply her own lessons to herself. Mm-hmm. So for you, Sam, why was this film a see it?
It was a see it for me because it reminded me of all the awkward moments we had in 8th grade. But it was a very different time. It takes place in the age of now and the students now, and you see how their day-to-day life is probably way more harder than if it was us in our 8th grade, because we didn't have all that extra internet stuff and blog stuff. So no matter what you put out on the internet, it goes there and it doesn't go away. So it's a different time for 8th graders.
As we were watching this film, I don't know if I've seen a film that really put in perspective what it's like to be a teenager in today's world. Like, we saw Love, Simon. Love, Simon kind of touches on it a little bit, but none of them really go into how heavy social media plays a part in teenagers' lives, quite like 8th grade did.
Yeah, it was kind of eye-opening. You were like, oh, yeah. They do have that much exposure to the internet, and they can find anything on their fingertips. They can put anything out there, and they can't take it back. And it's a difficult time for teenagers now.
And just like the pressure that this little girl feels to try and fit in with her peers.
Mm-hmm. But she also doesn't know who she is as a person. So not only is she trying to discover and make friends, but she's also trying to discover who she is as a person.
Yeah, and there's really like quite a few scenes in this film that really put into perspective what it's like to be a teenager in today's technological worlds. For instance, is both like a creepy scene, but it's also really funny, and I feel like it's part of Bo Burnham's kind of what he does with his stand-up along with this film, where he toes a very fine line with his stand-up. With some of the things is borderline offensive, but it doesn't go too far to where it is offensive. For instance, the one scene in 8th grade where the young girl, where they have like the fire drill and they get under the desk and she scurries over to like her crush, and he won't listen to her until she's like, yeah, I was just taking photos for like my dirty folder in my phone. He's like, what? Yep. What's in there? She's like, oh, just pictures. What kind of pictures? Just pictures from my boyfriend. Who's your boyfriend? Well, and like after she like fumbles around for a little while, she finally comes up and goes, well, I don't have a boyfriend, but I'm kind of saving them for when I do have a boyfriend. And that's a moment that could come off as kind of pervy and distasteful.
Yeah.
But Bo Burnham toes a line to where it's not distasteful and it's not dirty. It just feels very natural to what these characters are going through.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's kind of like the fine line that Bo Burnham toes. Mm-hmm. What was some other parts about this film that you liked a lot?
Oh, man, I liked the music was great. Honestly, if you hadn't had told me...
Once again, Bo Burnham's style, like personified in this movie.
You can really see his style, but I didn't know it was Bo Burnham's film until you said something before we went in. I think if I had gone through seeing that movie without it, I would have been like, this seems familiar with something, and you would have obviously told me afterwards that it was Bo Burnham, and then I would have been like, oh, it would have clicked, like, oh, you can definitely tell that this is Bo Burnham's film.
One of the things that Bo Burnham does in his stand-up Bo Burnham.
Burnham, I don't know what I said, but Burnham, sorry.
What he does in his stand-up is the way he brings music into his stand-up, and the way he uses it to punch you in the face with some of his scenes. One stand-up thing that he does in particular is the right brain, left brain, and it's like the art side of the brain versus the logical part of the brain, and he uses music and sound and all that in this particular bit. And if you don't know the bit, I go look up Bo Burnham, right brain, left brain, and you'll see what we're talking about. And there's parts of this movie to where it's really quiet. There's not much dialogue going on. You just hear some like crickets chirping, and then all of a sudden the girl that we're following in the film, she looks over and she sees her crush.
And then it's like blaring music.
It's like
blaring. And that's like when you really see
his
Beau's style. And you're like, oh, okay, now I get it.
The scene in particular is like they give away awards at their 8th grade graduation ceremony, or like the leading up to the graduation ceremony. And her crush won Best Eyes.
Oh, yeah. So that was the first time you hear it, right? You see it, and it's just
and you're like,
spot
hey,
on.
I can't remember the character's name, but they're like, hey, so come get your award, and then all of a sudden you see the girl like pan over, and she looks over to where the kid's at, and all of a sudden it's like a close up of the kid's eyes as he looks up like this, and he's just like this throbbing music that starts blaring. It's used to such great effect. The audience we saw it with thought it was hysterical. I was actually surprised, like, a lot of older people were there.
There was a big
And they were
group.
just like, yes, this is perfect. Like, the woman next to me was just like, oh my God, that was so me in 8th grade.
There was a lot of reactions from the film. And the person next to me was laughing hysterically. And I heard her talking to her husband about how that happens in her class. So I'm thinking she's like a middle school teacher. But there were a lot of... which is funny because I taught 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I was really like, oof. But the people in front of us, I noticed, was like a family of they were teenagers with their parents too. So this is like kind of a family film to see with your teenagers because it's kind of funny. And it's nothing like, it's just really good.
What did you think of that acting overall?
I thought it was really good. I thought the girl was really good. Mm-hmm. The girl who plays the character, you could tell in real life, she probably is kind of a shy girl.
Well, that's what we watched an interview with Bo Burnham, and that's what he was saying, that she's actually a shy girl.
Oh, that's where I'm getting that from. Yeah. In real life, she was a shy girl trying to find her confidence, and she was the best person to play for that role because it was her.
One of the things I liked when we actually watched some Bo Burnham interviews today, and he was saying like how he casted actors that were actually in 8th grade to play these 8th graders.
Well, he casted people in that school,
which I thought was great.
And he even casted there's a moment with an orchestra teacher, and that orchestra teacher is actually from that school too.
That was hysterical.
We got to leave that one for the audience.
Yeah, no, you just got to say it's really funny. When you see the orchestra teacher, just know that guy actually works at the school that they filmed at.
Which makes it even better.
Make it so much better. The dad, to me, was the other standout in the film. I thought the
relationship between the daughter and the dad was great.
Really, really well done. You could tell that he was kind of in a place where he wanted to be a parent, but he also didn't want to crowd his daughter.
Yeah.
And he just wanted her to kind of have a life, but at the same time, he still wanted to be a dad, and he didn't know how to balance that. And then towards the end of the film, he has this moment where he just gets to be a dad. He's not worried about being a friend. He's not worried about trying to be cool to her. He just gets to be her dad. Yeah. And it was a really, really...
It was a good moment.
It was a great moment. I was trying to think of, like, outside of just saying it's a great moment, but it's just a fantastic moment in the film for that character who just wanted to be a dad but be a friend, but then his daughter finally opens up and lets him be a father.
Well, because throughout the whole film, he's trying to open her up. He's trying to be her friend. He's trying to talk to her. And then there's the moment where he's finally like, I get to talk to my daughter and be a dad. And that was a nice moment.
That was a really nice moment. 10 minutes already. That was a quick one.
That was a quick one.
But we'll wrap this up. There's a lot of other funny moments, but a lot of it comes from just the human interaction that the characters have with one another. Real quick, was there anything about this film that you didn't like?
No. I thought that I didn't. Yeah, I think everything was pretty... I did want to say, we were talking in the car afterwards, how simple the storyline was and how that made it a strength for Bo Burnham as a first writer, for this film being its first writing, directing debut kind of thing, that the storyline is so simple and it makes it so great. Yeah,
it's really just an 8th grade girl's last week of 8th grade.
And the things she goes through, and that's it. Like, she wants to hang out with older kids, and that's where that fuzzy line comes in of she's not quite there yet.
I agree with your assessment that there's really Nothing to dislike about this film. I really don't have any weak points. Maybe it's because I'm just a huge Bo Burnham fan. I've seen all of his comedy specials. I felt like
I've seen him a couple times.
This is his film. 100%. You can see him through this. It's his style.
Everything down to the dialogue. I mean, I don't really pay attention to dialogue like you do, but I could tell that this was a dialogue written by him.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's it for us for this one. We went a little over schedule, but that's okay. This is a really good film. We highly recommend this one. It is a see it. It is in limited release right now. It is expanding. It is an A24 film, which A24 is the company that did Lady Bird. They did Hereditary. They do these like independent, small, character-driven films, and they're more times than not, they're really good.
What was Bo Burnham's connection to Lady Bird? Was there a connection?
The guy that produced Lady Bird also produced this. They share the same producer.
Oh, okay. Because okay.
So that's it. Thank you for watching. We have another show to do. We got Equalizer 2 next. Stay tuned. That's coming up. Thank you.